Welcome in to the Loretta McNary Show. I'm so excited that you are here, and I know in just a few moments you're going to be so happy that you're here too. And this is my annual show that I do as part of the Pulmonary Hypertension Awareness Month that's coming up in November. And I could not do the show without one of my very favorite guests of all time, Miss Barbara Thompson. Welcome her to the show.
Thank you, thank you. Glad to be here.
I know, and you've been so busy creating awareness and buzz and educating the whole public, not only here locally, but internationally. So we're going to talk about that too, and we'll start sharing her story and actually a fight against pulmonary hypertension that she launched some years ago when I first met her.
That's true, that's true. I just want to make sure that no other family has to go through what my dear family did for almost 2 years while I was bedridden, and my husband took me to 14 different doctors before somebody ordered an echocardiogram. That's all it took. And thankfully, the technician that was doing the echo saw that I had an enlarged pulmonary artery. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Okay, but there's a lot of stuff that happened and a lot of sad things that happened. She's making it, lightly, but they suffered. It was very traumatic sometimes, and we'll share some of that story too. But I want you to go to Facebook, first of all, and I encourage you to go to the Pulmonary Hypertension Facebook page.
Correct.
And you can get a lot of information there, because one thing that I've learned personally over the years, is this is a very underdiagnosed disease.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even the CDC says that it's an underdiagnosed or a misdiagnosed disease. A lot of people have been diagnosed with asthma or COPD, and they're wondering why their treatments aren't working. Well, if their treatments aren't working, maybe their doctor needs to check out pulmonary hypertension, because it very well could be something more than COPD. Although COPD is important, as well as asthma is not a good illness to have either. But if it's pulmonary hypertension, there's no sense in dying from PH, because there's now 9 FDA-approved treatments that can prolong your life and help you have a quality of life.
And she's heard it all. Like I said, I'm going to get her to share some of her story about, she told you 14 doctors, but there's a lot of stuff that happened from doctor to doctor to doctor. And we're placing no blame. We're just saying it was underdiagnosed, and now she has had a diagnosis that has really saved her life.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm coming up on my 10th anniversary, which will be 12/12/12 this year. When I was first diagnosed, they gave me 6 to 9 months to live. They told Chuck and myself, although I don't remember it, I don't remember the 2 years that I was bedridden, because if your brain is not getting oxygen, you don't remember things. So that's why I say no other family should have to go through what my family did. And luckily they stuck by me, and I'm alive today because of it.
Yeah, and your husband, Chuck, is so amazing.
Yes,
I know we have a lot of amazing husbands out there, and I'm the first one to tell you that there are tons of them out there, and there are still tons of great men that are not married, so women don't lose hope about that. But Chuck is incredible. I have met him personally many times, and he is very, very dear to my heart. And just to see their communications and the love for one another, and how he was strong when you were weak, and you're weak when he's strong, and vice versa, you do that thing together, you're doing it up. Brandy, and I just can't imagine being told that you have 6 to 9 months to live, and your husband was like your rock.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I was definitely a textbook case of pulmonary hypertension, because I had the blue lips, the bluish tint to my lips and to the nail beds, excessive fatigue. I couldn't walk 5 feet. Because of the pH, the shortness of breath, the hoarseness,
How about a cough? Did you have a persistent cough too?
No, I didn't have a cough,
Okay.
didn't have a cough,
Okay.
but it was more the hoarseness. And I later found out that when your pulmonary artery is enlarged, it will push up against the nerves in the voice box. So that's why I was hoarse. Luckily, I have my voice back now. I'm not sure how Chuck is handling that, but before I was diagnosed, not much more than a whisper, or I had to read my lips, or had to write notes down because I couldn't speak. Lost
I
a lot.
kind of want to go backwards a little, about 3 years when you first contacted the show, and she submitted this really nice email. She wanted to be on the show because she was suffering from pulmonary hypertension, and she felt like if she could just create awareness for it, that she could save some lives. And I told her this, our first show 3 years ago, I didn't want to do the show on pulmonary hypertension. I had to be very, very honest with her. Number one, I'd never heard about it. Not saying I've heard everything out there that you can get, but I was uncomfortable because I read where, people were dying, and, not only from this, but I was just reading some stuff, and she had everything laid out for me. And so I was intimidated. I was so intimidated by her overwhelming knowledge and her passion to have this thing out there. And I'm like, nobody else is doing a show on hypertension. Oprah didn't do a show on pulmonary hypertension. So I wanted to make sure that I stayed away from it too, because there was no plan of action. There was nobody else really talking about it in media. So I felt like she was trying to put me on the spot. And so I truly ignored her. It took, 3-4 months?
Well, she tried to ignore me.
Yeah, there is no ignoring her, first of all. I just tried. We can laugh about it now, but it was not a laughing matter. I mean, I was serious. I was not going to get her on the Loretta McNary show and talk about something I had not heard of. I don't know anybody who's heard of it, and how it still was relatively newly being diagnosed here in Memphis, because I couldn't even find an article on it. I couldn't, very little information, but she was persistent.
Yes, I was, and still am today.
Very persistent, I might add.
Very much so.
Almost to the point where it was annoying, but so I said, okay, if this lady is this passionate about this, and I just felt like in my spirit, it was time to grow up some more as a talk show host and do those things that nobody else was talking about. And so we scheduled our first show.
And that's why you're going to be syndicated.
She caught me off guard on that. This is about you. But so that's how we got here 3 years later, and about 6 or 7 shows later, we'll talk about some things that has happened not only for my show but for the awareness, and her chapter has grown a whole lot too. Substantially, and how she has really been a huge part of my show being seen overseas. So we'll take a break and we'll tell you more about that when we return.
In 1990, in Severn, Maryland, the daughter of a clergyman was discovered by a music industry insider while pumping gas at a service station. The odds of her getting signed and spending 11 weeks at #1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of this former church choir singer going on to sell 40 million records? 1 in 15 million. The odds of the same woman winning 6 Grammy Awards and starring in 2 Broadway plays? 1 in 75 million. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 150. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org.